Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed, her face against the cold metal wall of the escape pod as explosions rocked the research vessel Endeavour. The diplomatic mission to make first contact with the Zephyrian Empire had gone terribly wrong in just 30 minutes. She could still hear Captain Morrison's voice over the comm system before it went dead. All hands, abandon ship. Repeat, abandon ship. Elena grabbed her medical kit and emergency supplies as the pod's automatic systems prepared for launch. Through the small window, she watched the beautiful blue-green planet of Zephyr Prime grow larger. The planet looked peaceful from space, with strange crystal formations that caught the light of its twin suns. The escape pod hit the atmosphere hard. Elena felt her stomach drop as they fell through thick clouds. Warning lights flashed red all around her. The pod's computer spoke in a calm voice that made everything seem worse. Emergency landing in 60 seconds. Brace for impact. Elena strapped herself in tight and closed her eyes. The pod crashed through what sounded like breaking glass. Then everything went quiet. When Elena opened the pod door, she gasped. She stood in a forest of crystal trees that reached high into the purple sky. The trees were not made of wood, but of clear blue crystal that hummed softly in the wind. Strange light danced through them like water. Elena checked her equipment. Her suit's air filters were working. The atmosphere was breathable, but felt different in her lungs. Heavier somehow. Her scanner beeped softly, showing life signs all around her. She needed to find shelter and contact the Endeavour. But first, she had to figure out what went wrong. The first contact meeting had started well. The Zephyrian delegates looked like tall, thin humans, but with skin that sparkled like crystal. They spoke through some kind of electrical field that the translation computers could barely understand. Eleanor remembered the exact moment things went bad. Ambassador Chun had reached out to shake hands with the lead Zephyrian. It was supposed to be a gesture of peace. Instead, the alien had screamed and fallen backward. The other Zephyrians had started making high-pitched sounds and their skin had glowed bright red. Then the shooting started. Elena pushed deeper into the crystal forest. The ground beneath her feet was soft and spongy, covered with plants that looked like blue moss. Small creatures that looked like flying jewels zipped between the trees. They seemed curious about her, but kept their distance. After walking for 2 hours, Elena heard something that made her stop. It was a sound like wind chimes mixed with crying. She followed the sound carefully, using the crystal trees for cover. In a clearing ahead, Elena saw her first Zephyrian up close. The being lay on the ground, badly hurt. Elena could see that this one was different from the delegates on the ship. This Zephyrian was taller and wore what looked like a crown made of living crystal. The crystal crown pulsed with weak light. The Zephyrian's left side was burned and bleeding a silver liquid. Elena could see exposed crystal nodes under the skin that sparked with dying electrical current. The being's breathing was shallow and quick. Elena's medical training took over. She did not think about politics or first contact rules. She saw a living being in pain, and that was enough. She moved slowly into the clearing, keeping her hands visible. "I want to help," she said, even though she knew the Zephyrian probably could not understand her words. The alien's large, silver eyes opened and focused on Elena. Those eyes were filled with pain and fear. The Zephyrian tried to move away, but was too weak. Elena knelt down a safe distance away and opened her medical kit. She pulled out her scanner and pointed it at the wounded alien. The readings made her worry. The Zephyrian was losing too much of the silver blood, and the electrical activity in the crystal nodes was dropping fast. "I know you cannot understand me," Elena said in a gentle voice, "but you are dying. I am a doctor. I can help if you let me." The Zephyrian watched Elena with those silver eyes. The crown on its head pulsed faster, like a rapid heartbeat. Elena realized this might be how Zephyrians showed emotion or tried to communicate. Elena slowly reached into her kit and pulled out a general healing gel that worked on most carbon-based life forms. She also grabbed her biostabilizer, a device that could help regulate alien nervous systems. The Zephyrian's eyes went wide when Elena moved closer. The crystal crown flashed bright yellow, and Elena felt a strange tingling in her head. For just a moment, she thought she could sense the alien's feelings: fear, pain, and something else. Surprise, maybe. Elena stopped moving. "I know you are scared," she said. "I am scared too, but I will not hurt you. I promise." The Zephyrian stared at Elena for a long moment. Then, slowly, it closed its eyes and let its head fall back. Elena took this as permission. She moved carefully to the alien's side and looked at the wounds. The burn was deep, and the crystal nodes were damaged. Elena had never seen anything like Zephyrian biology before, but some things were the same across species. The silver blood was flowing too fast, and the electrical signals were getting weaker. Elena applied the healing gel to the burned area first. The Zephyrian's body tensed but did not pull away. The gel seemed to work, slowing the bleeding and covering the wound with a protective layer. Next, Elena looked at the damaged crystal nodes. They were definitely part of the Zephyrian's nervous system. Elena could see tiny sparks jumping between them, but the pattern was wrong. Too slow and too weak. Elena carefully cleaned around the nodes with sterile solution. The Zephyrian's breathing became more steady. Elena then used her biostabilizer to send gentle electrical pulses to the damaged nodes. The effect was immediate. The crystal crown on the Zephyrian's head glowed brighter, and those silver eyes opened wide. Elena felt another wave of sensation in her mind. This time, it felt like gratitude mixed with shock. Elena sat back and packed away her tools. The Zephyrian was not completely healed, but the immediate danger was over. She had done what she could with human medicine on an alien body. The Zephyrian slowly sat up and looked at Elena with new interest. The crown pulsed in slow, steady rhythms now. Elena felt a strange sense of connection, as if something had changed between them in those few minutes of healing. Elena did not know that she had just saved the life of Queen Velenara, ruler of the entire Zephyrian Empire. She also did not know that by touching the crystal nodes, she had accidentally performed what Zephyrians considered a sacred ritual, but she would learn soon enough. The Zephyrian queen slowly stood up, her movements careful and graceful. Elena watched as the alien tested her balance, the crystal crown on her head now glowing with steady, healthy light. The silver blood had stopped flowing, and the damaged crystal nodes were sparking in regular patterns again. Elena felt proud of her work. She had saved a life using human medical knowledge on a completely alien body. But as she packed her medical kit, she noticed something strange. The Zephyrian was staring at her with those large silver eyes, and her expression looked confused and maybe a little frightened. The crystal crown began pulsing in rapid, complex patterns. Elena felt waves of sensation in her head again, but this time they felt different, urgent, almost panicked. "Are you okay?" Elena asked, stepping closer. "Do you still hurt somewhere?" The queen backed away from Elena, her hands raised. She spoke for the first time, her voice like the sound of wind through crystal chimes. Elena's universal translator crackled to life, trying to make sense of the alien language. "You touched the sacred nodes." The translation came through broken and unclear. "Only forbiddens. Consort may..." Elena frowned. "I don't understand. I was helping you. You were dying." The queen's crown flashed bright red. Elena felt a strong wave of emotion that made her take a step back. It was not anger exactly, but something close to shock and confusion. "The nodes," the queen said again, pointing to the crystal formations Elena had treated. Sacred touch. Only bonded ones. Only. The translator struggled with the next word. Mate bond. Life bond. Elena's eyes went wide as she began to understand. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was just trying to save your life. The queen studied Elena for a long moment. Her crown cycled through different colors. Red, yellow, blue, then back to the steady white light. Elena could feel the alien's emotions through that strange mental connection. Confusion was strongest, but there was also curiosity and something that might have been gratitude. What species are you? The queen asked. The translator was working better now. Your biofield is strange. Different from any in the galactic database. I'm human, Elena said. From Earth, we're new to space travel. This was supposed to be our first peaceful contact with your people. Human, the queen repeated, testing the word. And you touch my nodes to heal me, not knowing the sacred law? Elena nodded. In human medicine, we touch to heal. It's normal for us. I didn't know it meant something else to your people. The queen's crown pulsed slowly as she thought. Among my people, the crystal nodes are almost sensitive areas. They control our bioelectrical fields, our thoughts, our life force. To touch them is the most intimate act possible. It is only done between bonded mates or during the consort choosing ritual. Elena felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help. You saved my life, the queen said simply. But by touching my nodes, you have either declared war on my people or claimed the right to be my consort. Elena's mouth dropped open. What? But I was just being a doctor. I know that now, the queen said. Your biofield shows truth, not deception. But my people will not understand. When they find us, they will see the touch scent on my nodes and know what happened. Touch scent? Elena asked. The queen moved closer, and Elena could feel the electrical field around the alien's body. It was warm and seemed to pulse with the queen's heartbeat. Every being has a unique bioelectrical signature, the queen explained. When someone touches our nodes, that signature mixes with ours. It marks us as bonded or claimed. The scent lasts for many cycles. Elena ran her hands through her hair, frustrated. So, what does this mean? What happens now? I am Queen Velanara of the Zephyrian Empire, the queen said formally. And you, human Elena, have accidentally begun the ancient ritual of consort claiming. Elena stared at the queen, at Velanara, trying to process this information. She had gone from being a doctor on a diplomatic mission to accidentally proposing marriage to an alien queen in the space of a few hours. Can we explain what really happened? Elena asked. Surely your people will understand when you tell them I was healing you? Velanara's crown flashed yellow, which Elena was starting to recognize as worry or uncertainty. The touch scent does not lie. My people will believe you deliberately claimed me. And there are laws about this. What kind of laws? If a being touches the queen's nodes without permission, it is considered an act of war. The punishment is death for the offender and their entire species. Elena felt cold despite the warm air of the crystal forest. And if they think I'm claiming to be your consort, then you must prove yourself worthy through the trials of bonding, Velanara said. If you fail, the punishment is the same. Death for you and war against your people. Elena sat down heavily on a fallen crystal log. So either way, Earth is in danger because I tried to save your life? Velanara approached slowly and sat beside Elena. Her presence felt warm and somehow calming. Not necessarily. There is a third option, but it is complicated. Tell me, you could complete the bonding ritual and become my consort, in truth. As the queen's chosen mate, you would have the right to speak for your people. You could prevent the war. Elena looked at Velanara in surprise. You would do that? Let me become your consort to save my people? But you barely know me. Valinara's crown pulsed in slow, thoughtful patterns. I know enough. You risked yourself to save a stranger. You used your knowledge to heal rather than harm. And your biofield. It is compatible with mine in ways I have never felt before. Elena felt that strange mental connection grow stronger. For a moment, she could sense what Valinara was feeling. Loneliness, duty, hope, and something else that felt almost like affection. But I don't understand your culture, Elena said. I don't know how to be a Zephyrian Queen's consort. And I know nothing of humans, Valinara replied. But perhaps that is not important right now. Right now, we must survive. My advisors are looking for me. When they find us, we must have a plan. Elena heard a distant sound like crystal bells ringing. Valinara's head snapped up, her crown flashing red. They come, she said. Choose quickly, human Elena. Will you let them believe you committed an act of war? Or will you claim the right of consort challenge? Elena looked at this alien queen who was offering to bind her life to Elena's to prevent a war. The choice seemed impossible, but Elena knew she could not let her people suffer for her mistake. I'll do it, Elena said. I'll claim the right of consort challenge. Valinara's crown flashed bright white, and Elena felt a wave of relief and gratitude from the queen's mind. Then stay close to me and let me do the talking, Valinara said. And Elena? Thank you for saving more than just my life. The sound of approaching Zephyrians grew louder through the crystal forest. 3 Zephyrian soldiers emerged from between the crystal trees, their bodies glowing with bright combat colors. Elena could feel the electrical energy coming off them like heat from a fire. Their crystal crowns flashed red and orange in angry patterns. The lead soldier spoke rapidly in the Zephyrian language, his voice harsh and demanding. Elena's translator struggled to keep up, but she caught words like attack and human threat. Valinara stood gracefully and moved slightly in front of Elena. Her crown blazed with royal white light. And when she spoke, her voice carried clear authority. I am safe. Commander Zekalon, she said. This human saved my life and has claimed consort right under the ancient laws. The soldiers' crowns all flashed a shocked yellow at the same time. Elena felt waves of disbelief and confusion from their biofields. Commander Zekalon stepped closer, his silver eyes fixed on Elena with obvious hostility. My queen, this creature's people attacked our diplomatic vessel. They killed 6 of our warriors. How can you consider bonding with such a being? Elena felt anger rise in her chest. We didn't attack anyone. Your people started shooting when our ambassador tried to shake hands. Zekalon's crown flared bright red. You dare speak lies in the queen's presence? Enough, Valinara said firmly. Commander, escort us to the ancient communication temple. I will contact the capital and sort out this confusion. As they walked through the crystal forest, Elena noticed that Valinara stayed close beside her. She could feel the queen's biofield mixing with her own, and it was surprisingly comfortable. Elena also noticed that she was picking up more Zephyrian words without the translator. Somehow, being near Valinara was helping her understand the language naturally. The temple was a massive crystal formation that grew from the ground like a mountain. Ancient symbols covered its surface, glowing with soft inner light. Elena could feel electrical energy humming through the entire structure. Inside, the temple was filled with crystal formations that looked like they belonged in a computer more than a building. Valinara approached the central console covered with glowing nodes and panels. I need to contact Admiral Kreshtar at the capital, she told Commander Zekalon. There has been a terrible misunderstanding. But when Valinara tried to activate the communication system, nothing happened. The crystal nodes remained dark and silent. Zekalon examined the console with growing worry. My queen, the biolocks have been changed. Someone has locked you out of the system. Valinara's crown flashed dangerous red. That is impossible. Only I have the authority to change the royal communication codes. Elena watched as the queen tried again and again to activate the system. Each time, the crystals rejected her biosignature. Elena could see the frustration and growing fear in Valinara's body language. Who else has access to these systems? Elena asked. Only the High Admiral and the Council of Nobles, Valinara replied. But they would never dare to lock out the queen. Elena studied the crystal console. The technology was completely alien, but she could see patterns in the way the crystal nodes were arranged. They looked almost like neural networks, similar to human brain structures. Can I try something? Elena asked. Zekalon immediately stepped forward. Absolutely not. No alien may touch the sacred communication crystals. But Valinara held up a hand to stop him. She's my consort candidate. She has the right to assist me. Elena approached the console carefully. The crystal nodes were warm under her hands, and she could feel electrical energy flowing through them. But instead of fighting the system, Elena tried to understand it. She closed her eyes and let her mind relax. The strange connection she felt with Valinara seemed to extend to the crystals themselves. Elena could sense the flow of information through the network, like watching data move through computer cables. Suddenly, Elena understood. The system wasn't broken. It was blocked by a false signal that made it think Valinara was an imposter. Someone is sending fake biosignatures, Elena said, opening her eyes. The system thinks you're not really the queen. How can you know that? Zekalon demanded. Elena looked at her hands on the crystal nodes. They were glowing now, responding to her touch in ways that seemed to surprise everyone. I can feel the information flow. It's like reading the thoughts of the machine. Valinara stared at Elena in amazement. That should be impossible. Only Zephyrians with decades of training can interface directly with our crystal networks. Elena concentrated harder, following the flow of false signals back to their source. The information came to her in bursts of understanding, like solving a puzzle piece by piece. The false signals are coming from the capital, she said. From Admiral Kreshtar's personal command center. Valinara's crown flashed through several colors before settling on shocked white. Kreshtar? But he has served my family for 50 cycles. He would never betray the crown. Elena kept her connection to the crystal network, diving deeper into the information flows. What she found made her stomach turn cold. There's more, she said. The Admiral has been planning this for months. The attack on our ship wasn't an accident. He ordered it to happen, then planned to blame humans for starting a war. Why would he do that? Valinara asked. Elena saw the answer in the data streams flowing through the crystals. He wants to take control of the Empire. A war against Earth would give him emergency powers. He could remove you and rule as military dictator. Commander Zekalon looked confused and angry. These are serious accusations. How can we trust what this alien claims to see? Elena opened her eyes and looked at Valinara. I can show you. If you're willing to share a biolink with me, you can see the data yourself. Valinara hesitated. A full biolink is deeper than consort bonding. It would connect our minds directly. The risk? What risk? Elena asked. If our biofields are not truly compatible, the link could damage both our minds permanently. Elena looked at the queen she barely knew but was supposed to become bonded to. Valinara had already risked so much to protect Elena from her own people. Now it was Elena's turn to take a risk. I trust you, Elena said simply. Valinara placed her hands on the crystal console next to Elena's. Their fingers almost touched, and Elena could feel the queen's biofield reaching out to hers. Link with me, Valinara whispered. Elena let her mind open completely. Suddenly, She could feel Velinara's thoughts as clearly as her own. The Queen's memories flowed through Elena's consciousness. Decades of loneliness, duty, and the constant weight of ruling an entire empire. But Elena also felt Velinara experiencing human thoughts for the first time. Elena's memories of Earth, of medical school, of choosing to become a doctor to help others. Velinara seemed amazed by human emotions and the way Elena's mind worked. Together, they reached into the crystal network. With Velinara's knowledge of Zephyrian technology and Elena's strange ability to interface with it, they traced the conspiracy back to its source. What they found was worse than they had imagined. Admiral Kreshtar had not only planned the attack on the human ship, but he had also arranged for Velinara to be on that remote planet when it happened. He had meant for her to die in the fighting, leaving him free to take control. The biolink broke, leaving both Elena and Velinara breathing hard. Commander Zekalon watched them with wide, worried eyes. "What did you see?" he asked. "Treason," Velinara said, her voice cold with anger. "Admiral Kreshtar has betrayed everything our people stand for. He must be stopped before he starts a war that will destroy both our species." Elena felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She had come to Zephyr Prime as a simple doctor on a diplomatic mission. Now she was bonded to an alien queen and responsible for preventing a galactic war. But looking at Velinara, feeling the echo of their mental connection, Elena realized something important. They were no longer just trying to survive a dangerous situation. They had become partners, and together they might actually have a chance to save both their peoples. "What do we do now?" Elena asked. Velinara's crown blazed with determined white light. "Now we take back my empire." Getting to the capital city of Vel'Thais would not be easy. Admiral Kreshtar controlled most of the military, and he would be watching for the Queen's return. But Velinara had one advantage that the Admiral did not expect. Elena's unique ability to interface with Zephyrian technology thought they spent the night in the ancient temple, planning their approach. Commander Zekalon had contacted 2 other loyal soldiers to secure channels. These were the only people they could trust completely. The Admiral will have control of the main communication networks, Velinara explained to Elena as they studied maps of the capital. But he cannot access the old ceremonial systems without direct royal authorization. Elena examined a crystal display showing the city layout. Vel'Thais was built into and around massive crystal formations, with the royal palace at the center. The ceremonial communication array was in the oldest part of the city, in a temple complex that dated back thousands of years. "If we can reach the ceremonial array," Velinara continued, "I can broadcast directly to my people. But first, we need to get into the city without being detected." Elena studied the routes into the capital. All the main approaches would be heavily guarded. But looking at the underground passages, she had an idea. "What about the crystal veins?" she asked, pointing to the natural crystal formations that ran beneath the city. "Could we travel through those?" Zekalon shook his head immediately. "The deep crystals are wild. They carry too much electrical energy for safe travel. Even we cannot survive exposure to that much biofield energy." But Elena was thinking about her strange ability to interface with Zephyrian technology. If she could handle the controlled crystals in the temple, maybe she could protect herself and the others in the wild crystal passages. "Let me try something," Elena said. She placed her hands on one of the smaller crystal formations in the temple wall. Immediately, she felt the flow of electrical energy through the entire network. But instead of just reading the information, Elena tried to control it. Slowly, she began to redirect the energy flow, creating a kind of electrical shield around herself. The crystal formations near her dimmed slightly as she drew power from them. Velinara watched in amazement. "Impossible. You are manipulating the biofield matrix like a master technician." "It feels natural," Elena said. Like the crystals want to work with me. With Elena's unique ability, they had a way to reach the capital safely. But they would need more than just stealth to defeat Admiral Kreshtar. They needed political leverage. "There is something I must tell you," Valinara said to Elena as they prepared to leave. "About the Consort bonding ritual." Elena looked up from checking her equipment. "What about it?" "When we complete the bonding, you will not just be my mate. You will become co-ruler of the Zephyrian Empire. Any children we have will be heirs to the throne." Elena felt her face grow warm. "Children? But we're different species. How could we?" "Zephyrian biotechnology can adapt our genetic patterns to be compatible," Valinara explained. "It is part of the ancient bonding ritual. Our offspring would carry traits from both our peoples." Elena sat down heavily. She had been thinking of the consort bonding as a political arrangement to prevent war. She had not considered that it would make her an actual queen with real power over an entire galactic empire. "I don't know how to rule people," Elena said. "I'm just a doctor." Valinara sat beside her, and Elena felt the comforting presence of the queen's biofield. "You healed me when you could have left me to die. You risk your mind to help me uncover the truth about the conspiracy. You are already thinking like a ruler, putting the welfare of others before your own safety." The journey through the crystal passages took 6 hours. Elena walked at the front of the group, her hands on the crystal walls, redirecting the dangerous electrical surges away from her companions. It was exhausting work, but Elena found that the more she used her ability, the stronger it became. When they emerged near the capital city, Elena was amazed by what she saw. Velthis was built into massive crystal spires that rose like mountains from the planet's surface. The city glowed with bioelectrical energy, and Elena could feel the thoughts and emotions of millions of Zephyrians flowing through the crystal networks. But she could also feel something else, fear and confusion spreading through the population. Admiral Kreshtar was already spreading his propaganda about the human threat. "We need to move quickly," Valinara said. "Once the Admiral realizes I am alive, he will accelerate his plans." They made their way through the lower levels of the city, using Elena's ability to hide their biosignatures from the security sensors. Elena was amazed by how easily she could manipulate the Zephyrian technology. It was as if human neural patterns were naturally compatible with their bioelectrical systems. The ceremonial temple was heavily guarded, but the guards were loyal to the crown, not to Admiral Kreshtar. When they saw Queen Valinara, they immediately knelt in respect. "My queen," the guard captain said. "Admiral Kreshtar told us you were killed in the human attack. As you can see, I am very much alive," Valinara replied. "The Admiral has been spreading lies to seize power for himself." Elena could feel the guard captain's confusion and uncertainty through the biofield connections. He wanted to believe his queen, but he had been told that humans were dangerous enemies. "This is the human who saved my life," Valinara continued, indicating Elena. "She is my chosen consort and co-ruler of the Empire." The guards' biofields flashed through rapid color changes as they tried to process this information. Elena stepped forward and placed her hands on the temple's crystal communication system. Immediately, the entire structure came alive with energy. The crystal formations blazed with light, and Elena could feel her consciousness expanding through the network to touch the minds of Zephyrians throughout the capital. "Show them," Valinara said. "Show them the truth about Admiral Kreshtar's betrayal." Elena reached deep into the crystal network and began broadcasting the information they had discovered. She showed the Zephyrian people the Admiral's secret messages planning the attack on the human ship. She revealed his plans to remove the Queen and rule as a dictator. But Elena did more than just share information. Through the biofield network, she shared her own memories and emotions. She let the Zephyrian people experience her feelings when she first saw Valinara wounded and dying. They felt her desperate need to heal and help, her confusion about their customs, and her growing affection for their queen. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Elena could feel millions of Zephyrian minds reacting to the truth. Shock, anger at being deceived, and amazement that a human could communicate with them so directly. But Admiral Kreshtar was not finished. Elena felt him taking control of the military communication networks, trying to block her broadcast and spread counter-propaganda. He was claiming that Elena was using some kind of human mind control technology to deceive the people. He's fighting back, Elena told Velanara. He's trying to turn the people against. Mundi. Velanara placed her hands on the crystal console next to Elena's. Then we fight together. There. Combined biofields merged and flowed through the network like a river of light. Elena felt Velanara's deep love for her people and her determination to protect them. Together, they reached every crystal communication node in the Empire. Elena spoke directly to the Zephyrian people, not just with words, but with pure emotion and truth. She showed them her vision of humans and Zephyrians working together, sharing knowledge and building a better future for both species. Admiral Kreshtar wants war. Elena's message flowed through the network. But war will only bring pain and death to both our peoples. Choose peace. Choose understanding. Choose hope. The response was like a tsunami of supporting biofield energy. Millions of Zephyrians joined their voices to Elena's and Velanara's, demanding that Admiral Kreshtar surrender and face justice for his crimes. Elena felt the moment when the Admiral's support collapsed completely. His own soldiers turned against him, unwilling to fight their own people for a leader who had betrayed their trust. The crisis was over, but Elena knew that their real work was just beginning. As co-ruler of the Zephyrian Empire, she would need to help build lasting peace between humans and Zephyrians. Looking at Velanara, feeling the warmth of their biofield connection, Elena realized that she was ready for that challenge. 3 days after Admiral Kreshtar's surrender, Elena stood in the great crystal hall of the royal palace, wearing ceremonial robes that shimmered with bioelectrical patterns. Thousands of Zephyrian nobles filled the hall, their crystal crowns creating a sea of dancing lights. The formal consort bonding ceremony was about to begin. But Elena felt nervous about more than just the ritual itself. Once she completed the bonding with Velanara, there would be no going back. She would become co-ruler of an empire spanning dozens of star systems and billions of people. Elena touched the small communication device hidden in her robes. The Emergency Council of Earth's government had been in contact with her constantly since news of her situation reached them. Their message was clear. Do whatever was necessary to secure peace between the species, even if it meant staying on Zephyr Prime permanently. But Elena was not thinking about duty or politics as Velanara approached across the crystal floor. The queen looked magnificent in her formal crown, which rose from her head like a sculpture made of living light. More importantly, Elena could feel the warmth and affection in Velanara's biofield as she drew near. Over the past 3 days, they had worked together to clean up the damage from Admiral Kreshtar's conspiracy. Elena had used her unique abilities to help restore trust in the government and establish secure communications with the human diplomatic team. The more time she spent interfacing with Zephyrian technology and culture, the more natural it felt. The bonding ceremony was surprisingly simple. Elena and Velanara stood together at the center of the hall, while a crystal formation slowly rose from the floor between them. This was the bonding crystal, created specifically for their union using samples of both their biosignatures. Elena placed her hands on one side of the crystal, while Velanara touched the other. Immediately, Elena felt their biofields merging in a way that was deeper and more complete than anything they had shared before. Through the connection, Elena experienced Velinara's entire life history in a rush of images and emotions. The lonely childhood of a royal heir, the weight of responsibility that came with the crown, the careful political decisions that affected billions of lives. But she also felt Velinara's dreams for the future, a vision of the galaxy united in peace and cooperation. In return, Velinara experienced Elena's memories of Earth and humanity. She felt Elena's passion for healing, her curiosity about the universe, and her deep belief that different species could learn from each other rather than fight. When their biofields finally stabilized into a permanent bonding pattern, Elena felt as if she had gained not just a partner, but a part of herself she had never known was missing. The crystal hall erupted in celebration as the bonding crystal glowed with the merged patterns of their joined life forces. Elena was now officially Queen Elena, co-ruler of the Zephyrian Empire. But the real work began after the ceremony ended. Elena's first official act as co-ruler was to establish the Department of Interspecies Relations, with herself as its head. Her plan was ambitious: to create a framework for peaceful contact and cooperation, not just between humans and Zephyrians, but with any new species they might encounter. Most first contact situations fail because of misunderstandings. Elena explained to the Council of Nobles a week after her bonding. We need protocols that account for different communication styles, different cultural values, and different ways of showing respect. Lord Zafkal, an elderly noble who had served 3 generations of queens, raised a concern. But how can we prepare for unknown differences? Every species will be unique. Elena had been thinking about this problem since the ceremony. We start by understanding ourselves better. Humans and Zephyrians both made mistakes during our first contact. We need to learn from those mistakes and teach other species to do the same. Elena's proposal was to create mixed teams of humans and Zephyrians who would specialize in first contact situations. The human team members would provide flexibility and creative problem solving, while the Zephyrians would contribute their advanced biofield technology and experience with galactic politics. But Elena's most controversial proposal was the establishment of joint colonies where humans and Zephyrians could live and work together. Many nobles worried about the cultural contamination of mixing species so closely. Change is always frightening, Velinara told the council. But my bonding with Elena has shown me that our species complement each other in unexpected ways. Humans can interface with our technology in ways we never imagined possible. And we can offer them biofield enhancements that will improve their health and communication abilities. Elena demonstrated by connecting to the council chamber's crystal network and showing them a real-time view of human ships approaching the system. These were the first official Earth ambassadors, arriving to establish formal diplomatic relations. The future belongs to cooperation, Elena said, her voice carrying through both the acoustic speakers and the biofield network. Not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. The vote to approve Elena's proposals was close, but they passed. Within months, construction began on the first joint colony on a moon orbiting Zephyr Prime. Elena insisted on including scientists, artists, and families in the colony, not just diplomats and military personnel. 6 months after her bonding, Elena stood in the colony's central plaza, watching human children play with young Zephyrians. The children had figured out how to share biofield energy to create temporary light patterns in the air, turning their play into a kind of living art. Elena felt Velinara approach before she saw her. The biofield connection that linked them meant they always knew where the other was and what they were feeling. Any regrets? Velinara asked, joining Elena at the viewing platform. Elena considered the question seriously. She missed Earth sometimes, and there were aspects of Zevurian royal protocol that still confused her. But looking at the thriving colony below, seeing humans and Zephyrians working together to build something new, she knew she had made the right choice. "No regrets," Elena said. "But I do have a new dream. Tell me." Elena gestured at the mixed groups of humans and Zephyrians below. "I want our children to grow up thinking this is normal. I want them to live in a galaxy where cooperation between species is so common that they can't imagine it being any other way." Velinara placed her hand over Elena's. Through their biofield connection, Elena felt her partner's agreement and shared excitement. "Then we make that future real," Velinara said. Elena smiled and felt their combined biofield pulse with determination. She had started this journey as a simple doctor trying to save one wounded alien. Now she was co-ruler of an empire, working to reshape the entire galaxy. It was more responsibility than she had ever wanted. But Elena had learned something important about herself during her time on Zephyr Prime. Sometimes the most important thing you could do was help someone else, even if it changed your entire life in the process, especially if it changed your life in the process. As the twin suns set over the joint colony, Elena and Velinara watched the first generation of truly galactic citizens, learning to build a better future together. The galaxy was a big place, full of unknown species and unexpected challenges. But Elena was no longer worried about humanity's place in that galaxy. They would face whatever came next together.